Привет.
Hello.
Hello.
Так, мы на русском договорились, да, в этот раз?
На русском?
А вы на английском договорились?
Не, вроде на английском. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let's go in English in this way. Yeah, with this cut down, cannot get rid of the feeling that I should buy the headset with like the ears.
Let's continue in English today. So, like, our announce will be in English. Was in English, so I'm happy to have all of you today. And Vlad will be host. Vladimir will be host today, and we will introduce our guest. So, pass forward to you.
Oh, awesome! Thank you, Dmitry. So today we have Stanislav and Vladimir, who have a huge background in offensive security and will share some of the experience today. So, Stanislav, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Stanislav. People usually call me Stan here, whichever works for you, basically. So I'm an offensive security guy. I have total around 15 years of experience. Nowadays, I'm doing basically everything, ranging from pen tests to complex red and purple team engagements. I also do offensive tooling development. Whatever works for offensive part of the world, I'm doing that. I'm currently working at Adyen headquarters in Amsterdam. And given our topic, I think it's going to be very interesting to give. Maybe it will look like a weird flex, to be honest, but I think it would be nice to have a more kind of a backstory of myself and Vladimir as well, because we came from very vastly different backgrounds, and I think this is how we came to this topic today. And yeah, I'm going to share a little bit. Stop me if that's too much. But yeah, in general, the start of my career had very little to do with the professional cybersecurity, or I would even say none at all. Although I was fascinated with the concept, right? The hackers, the computer trickery in general. I mean, ever since I took my first C programming classes, I think it was like 7th grade or something, but it never occurred to me that, there is a profession in there. For me, it was just like puzzle solving, basically, like the thrill of bending the rules and stuff like that. That's what made it work for me. So naturally, I just continued working towards my software engineering career goals. I played with the cybersecurity on the side. And later on, it's important to know that it's early 2000s at the time. I'm not sure that the term CTF was already used back then. It might have been, but in my mind, the concept of hack quests became very popular, at least on the forums I've been frequenting. So I think this kind of quest, it was the turning point for me in a sense. So my simple curiosity transformed into this, active grind, active pursuit of knowledge. I just had to be up to date. I had to know everything, read every write-up, know every new technique, methodology, like everything. I needed that. And yeah, sorry, you wanted.
Yeah, I just before we go into the depths of the background, because it's cool actually that the target audience today and in general of this course, as Igor started it, was like Igor wanted to learn more about security and go into the depth of the area, and just started this community. And I think the vibe is still in place. So it's
right
for the people who enroll in the thing. So it's super cool to hear the story. So for how long you in security? You said 15 years.
15 years. It's my whole career in total. So I've been doing software development in many different roles for the first 10 years. And I started doing freelance pen testing and some kind of relevant security things in the meanwhile, basically in the background. I had a pretty good grasp on the security concepts. I could exploit a lot of things at the time, but I didn't realize that it's an actual profession. That people are doing this legitimately 8 hours a day or something. So for me, it was literally, people just do this as a hobby. Software developers just do this because it's fun. And yeah, the it was a bit later in my life when I first attended my first cybersecurity conference, and I met a lot of people who were doing this as a profession, and I was like, huh. So, well, there is also, I didn't know that this is a profession, but also that there is multiple different ways of doing security, right? There is compliance, there is application security, there is blue team and incident response, all of that. And I'm like, whoa, like there is so much to learn besides the actual exploitation. So my way into this was very weird. Like I knew a lot of the concepts. I mean, again, some will sound like a weird flex, but I knew pretty in-depth things at the time, but I probably wouldn't have passed any of the like interviews for any relevant job because I had no idea what people do. What do they do for 8 hours? Because I jump in on the CTF on the weekend, I spend like 20 hours, done. Like, what do you do with the rest of 20 hours for the rest of the week?
Okay, so what do you do 8 hours of your work? But like, before we go there, so Vlad,
yeah,
what about you?
Well, yeah, hi everyone. My name is Vlad. I'm an ethical hacker. My current role is called ethical hacker, very fancy, but I prefer security researcher definition at bol.com in the Netherlands. Yeah, I don't have 15 years of experience. I believe 15 years ago, I was still studying at school and playing, I don't know, World of Warcraft or something like that. So I'm not that crazy as this guy, but yeah, I started my career around 8 years ago. I think, Vlad, we have a lot of in common with our start in cybersecurity.
At least the name, you know.
Yeah, at least the name, yeah. So yeah, I started as a, I mean, compared to Stan, I haven't started with capture flag, but our way around, I started as a security researcher. I actually was working in the company doing some research on SAP and Oracle. And because I had zero background, I started from scratch, completely from scratch. I spent hours in just reading Java code I didn't understand back in times. So it was a whole different world for me, trying to find 0 days, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. And from time to time, we also perform a pen test per request. So that was very, I would say, my favorite time back in times. A lot of knowledge I got there. And slowly I switched to penetration test role. So I, you know, consulting life and with all the reports, calls with customers, retests, and all this fancy stuff, especially with estimating your work. Completely different world, not research at all. And exactly the time when I did this consulting, enjoying my life, had a lot of free time. Consulting make you feel quite freedom. So yeah, my ex-colleague invited me to join a CTF team, capture flag team. So this was the moment I met Stan as well, because he was already part of this team. And since then, I think it was around 5 years ago, maybe 5-ish, 4-ish. Yeah, around that, we were still playing together. And I have to admit that capture flag opened a whole different world for me, like completely different world, a completely different approach. Yeah.
And on this, so you have a provoking item in the agenda. So like CTF is not cybersecurity, and I understand why, but like the whole idea that this group started like, okay, let's dig into the cybersecurity. Kostya plays CTF, so let's review a few examples. It gives you this mindset. So now, like you working as a full day AppSec engineers, saying like, okay, CTFs are not cybersecurity. So should people even play them?
Definitely, but you should understand the difference. Capture flag is something completely artificial. A lot of capture flags or tasks or challenges are based on sometimes crazy mindset of a creator. And based on my experience, most of the time it has nothing to do with real challenges you face day to day at work, at 8 hours work as an offensive security engineer or as a security guy at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Like, just as you asked, like, what I do for 8 hours. I can give you an example, what I did yesterday. So for the around like 4 hours, I had different meetings with different development teams. I had a meeting with the incident response team. Then I had lunch for like 40 minutes. Then I chilled for like 10 more. And then I had another call. And then I rounded my day up. So that's literally what I did whole day. And I can tell you that in that time, I did zero exploitation. I did zero research, nothing. But I made the company way more secure than it would have been if I just, started, hacking, whatever, putting quotes into the parameters of the URLs. It's a completely different world. Like the moment you start doing the CTF is, the goal, basically. The goal is to get the flag, right? It's in the name. And you are completely sure that the flag is there and there is a way, maybe even multiple ways of getting there. When you're waking up in the morning for your day job as a security engineer, I mean, even regardless of what you are actually doing for a security profession, you do not really know what you're going to do. Well, unless you have a pen test lined up, but that's a different story. But in general, there is so much more to security than just CTFs. And I can tell you that I have this firsthand experience, right? I did a lot of exploitation. I played a ton of CTFs. I literally played weekly. I'm not exaggerating, because I had a lot of free time as a teenager and in the uni as well. And yeah, I just played weekly. But honestly, this constitutes like 30%, I guess, of the work, especially if you go into more advanced things like red teaming and purple teaming. But yeah, probably should touch that a little later.
And that's awesome. That thanks for sharing. I mean, it totally makes sense, and everyone hates meetings, but it's an inevitable part of making the impact after the findings. So and even before. So
yeah,
there are a few cool questions running offline in the chat. One is on the screen, but like before we jump into this, Harsh asking is like, what you need to do to not become like, to not stay a script kiddie, but like go beyond and I don't know, develop this. I'm paraphrasing, but develop this ability to find the exploit or figure out how to break the system. So what does it take?
Oh, it's a very good question.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, like, what's your profession? Because I have my own opinion on that, because I started quite well earlier than that, when the script kiddie term meant slightly different thing. So I'm really curious what you think about it.
First thing that comes to my mind is, actually, maybe it's quite typical or maybe stupid. I think it's experience, though. By experience, I mean not doing, actually maybe even meaning doing quite some pen tests, bug bounty or whatever. Just you need the feeling. You need to know the feeling when you need to stop, looking deep, when you need to switch the focus, or what worth of report and what does worth for report. And that's, from my perspective, based on, I believe, my assessments, based on bug bounty reports we're handling, based on bug bounty reports I'm doing by myself. Especially when I check in the first ones, and then the current ones, they changed a lot. And it's mostly about mindset and keeping business as an entity in mindset. So when I'm trying to report things, I'm always trying to think about, okay, what is the value of whatever I'm sending? So is the missing security header, okay, like, so what? Or is there C again, so what? And this feeling you only will get with experience, with just making mistakes, writing not the best reports, getting sent away with zero bounty, and so on. But yeah, what's your opinion, Stan?
Actually, before Stan, you jump in, sorry to cut in. You mentioned the bug bounty is one of the ways to start. So just for people who is not familiar, the bug bounty, such platforms as HackerOne or BugCrowd, a few more. Huh?
I would recommend Integrity. Very
okay.
Nice. So, promoting Dutch platforms.
The guys are able to publish their websites and provide a legitimate way to report the findings so that you can earn the bounty. But the question is, like, is it a good really entrance for people. I mean, if you only getting into cybersecurity and you're dropped into like everyone say, oh, you go try and bug bounty. Okay, thank you guys. Like, thank you, really. Thousands of hackers are sitting on them, finding the stuff, and you suggesting me, like, as a novice engineer, to go there and try to compete, then realize that I'm a failure, and then drop cybersecurity. So is bug bounty really a good start? So
Start, because I have opinion about that.
I have so many opinions about that. This is actually, it's funny. I think, yeah, it led to so many fights. I mean, not physical ones, but like there is so much like holy war discussions going on in our like private chats regarding this specific topic, like what is bug bounty, how to do it properly, how is it a really bad kind of ground for unprofessional security people to grow in. And I mean, the short version, I have two opinions on that. The first one is that if you're just starting out as a security engineer, bug bounty is probably a bad idea. That's my, I know people do not agree with me, but I think that is a bad thing just for the reason that you do not have good habits yet. And good habits are really important, because if you have ever seen the receiving side of the bug bounty platform, it is thousands upon thousands of similar reports where people they just read some blog post on Medium. They learned that, oh, there is this potential issue with this, I don't know, security header or something. And they start sending this meaningless reports by thousands. And the idea behind them, oh, I'll send 5,000 of them. The conversion rate would be like 5%, and then I'll earn like $10 out of each, and then it's fine. But I mean, you're not, first of all, not learning anything. Second of all, you're probably going to end up on a lot of blacklists. I have one. And so bug bounties in general are really good place, like as a training ground, but you have to be very conscious about what you're reporting and how you're doing that. And on that, like, having said that, I have a great example of how to do bug bounty properly to even land a job. So we have this at my work. Yeah, I mean, it's actually incredible story.
There are questions about the job. We will get with them to them in a bit. So let's then go on. So landing job is bug bounty.
So out of the blue, so we have, of course, we have a responsible disclosure program, right? And we, again, receive a lot of this weird nonsense reports about like, oh, critical vulnerability discovered. You know that, right? And then one day we get a report about, oh, guys, I think you have an XSS somewhere in your system. I'm not sure where it is, but I got a callback on my thingy. I'm like, huh. See, like, this is already a difference. The person that reported that, they didn't try to force, like, oh, this is critical. Oh, I found this or that. They wasn't even sure that there is an issue, but they had the very right kind of a mindset that, oh, I'm exploring this kind of unusual behavior your system might have. This is very interesting. Can you please help me explore it together with you in a responsible manner? Turns out, I'm going to keep this short. So turns out this person been doing a pen test. I think it was not even a like official pen test. I think it was either a bug bounty or maybe even, because it's been a while ago, I don't remember, but I think it could have been even the practice time you get at the uni for a month. You're like with this company, and they just been pushing XSS payloads everywhere. So apparently we were partners with this company. We were ingesting some data from their platform to, I don't know, do something big data platform, this buzzwords. So this payload that didn't detonate on their side, it ended up in our big data system that was crunching some numbers and doing the data analysis. And then it just detonated, I think it was Jupyter Notebook of some data analyst somewhere deep in the network.
Nice. Ooh,
yeah. And that's the thing, right? So the mindset was there. The kind of correct words were used. Like it wasn't like, oh, alarm, there is the critical issue I found, and let me. It was very like I felt like I was talking to a very professional security researcher, but it turned out the guy was. I think he was at the uni. I think he's still at the uni. I was like, he's a kid, and this is what I mean when I'm saying that bug bounty is probably not the best way to start, because you have to have this right attitude, and if you don't have an example in front of you, it's probably going to be very hard if you're competing with this thousands of researcher just sending out this. Well, let's be honest, it's just bullshit. Yeah. Sorry for my language, but it's literally what it is.
I completely agree with you, Stan, though. I think bug bounty is a nice way, maybe not just rely on bug bounty as a start, but it could be a nice way to actually build these habits by trying and failing. So, as I said, I mean, if you're going to do bug bounty to getting money, so that's definitely no go, at least for me. I mean, if you start with bug bounty for studying or for learning what are the business needs, what reports are available, what are not. Again, you can also start with just reading our reports, just understand what is good report, how to write a good report, what vulnerabilities or what approach is good, because a lot of findings are very valuable and they are non-technical at all. So it's mostly about observation, business logic, issues, and so on. And it can really help you to grow pretty fast if you do something else on the background. I don't know, doing Hyperbox, doing Try Hack Me, whatever, OCP, any learning material, and try things in real world will also change a bit your expectation from the profession in general. As our topic, just a reminder, our topic is cybersecurity and is not capture flag or a way around. So, and all the studying is also like very, very artificial thing, a lab thing. And in real world, things are way, way easier. And yeah, bug bounty exactly shows that you don't need most of the time very, very low level exploits. It's just enough to change the number in URL and get IDOR with information about another user that for a company actually would be way, way, way more valuable than, I don't know, self-cross-site scripting.
Actually, I have to drop for a while, but I'll be back. It's super cool and hot discussion. We'll keep driving it, and we have a cool questions in the chat. But I want to drop a bomb before going. Like, do you think that OffSec is actually the best way to enter cybersecurity, or like other ways? I mean, we can keep it to the end, but like when it talks about a cyber, like, okay, let's go hack something. But even Stan in his like day-to-day example said like, oh, I spent time on a meeting with devs explaining like what should be done or like how the system works. So it's not AppSec work, it's AppSec work or security architect work. So that's the question. Maybe let's leave it to the end. So the question.
I have some hot takes as usual, but
I just want to hear now. Okay, Dmitry, pass to you. I'll be back, guys.
Yep. Okay. Bye. But we're waiting for you. Okay.
Yeah, we can continue with the thing, or we can actually discuss how, because we had multiple examples now with the irrelevance of CTFs in real security, right? So it's very different. Although useful, it is like if you, like me, started with CTFs, you will probably find yourself kind of disoriented in the real professional security environment. But there's also the other side of the coin, right? You can find so many similarities, so many useful skills that you can acquire, a proper mindset, low-level skills even, that is also a thing. When you're doing security switching from CTFs, or the other way around, if you did security and you started doing CTFs, and then suddenly, I mean, Vladimir has better insights in this than myself, but I think when you already know what you're doing and you start doing CTFs, I think you can almost feel the spike in the hard skill that you get out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would say also the level of your self-confidence it really grows with capture flag, especially when you can solve some things, and completely drops when you can't solve anything. So it depends, like ups and downs all the time. But yeah, definitely. I mean, the quality of capture flag is unique cases, unique tricks and tips, or framework-specific issues or behavior that you can actually use in daily and a daily job, right? So during your pen test and so on. Not all of that can be applicable for security engineer in general. And yeah, sometimes the idea of spending hours on one finding can be very, very, I wouldn't say dangerous, but very red approach, I would say. I'm not sure about your experience, and I think you have the same, but when you do pen test as a freelance or something like that, you have quite a limited deadline. Customer pays to you like a week or 2 weeks or whatever for 1-2 applications, and the customer expects the results and the full coverage, right? So he needs to maybe not a perfect security, but just good enough security, or know just enough what is vulnerable, that can be hacked, where he or she can improve. And the capture flag approach here could be very, very dangerous, because you can spend 2 weeks on bypassing a cross-site scripting filter that actually can be just good enough and can be just secure. And at the same time, you can completely skip more easy to find vulnerabilities that would be crucial and probably bad reputation for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's more towards the point of how CTFs are not like cybersecurity, but yeah, of course, the concept of scope is non-existent in traditional CTFs. The context of impact, even, it's not really a thing, because you have a clear goal. You have to get the flag, right? So, but that's more towards the other thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of what well, not daily, but very frequently use in terms of the skills that I acquired during my CTF career, a lot of the times it's, well, you'd be surprised, right? The tricks that are well known for multiple years in the CTF community are gonna be a completely new thing for many, many people who's been doing this only professionally. Because you just, as Vladimir said, like Vlad, I'm sorry, Vlad said, like, the actual security is way easier than a CTF in pure technical terms. Like, you're not gonna find your whatever prototype pollution hidden behind whatever functionality, and then there's also WAF on top of that, and then there's also filter on top of it's probably not gonna happen. I mean, it will at some point, of course, but in general, the professional security, it's not that. It's not about that even. So the things that you think are tricky sometimes are, or the other way around, right? The things that you think are not tricky, that you've known for years, are gonna be, yeah, the mind blast for people who never did that. I can give you like a kind of an example, right? So if you do cybersecurity professionally, so you do a pen test, you find, say, server-side request forgery. So you can do the requests on behalf of the server due to some vulnerability. It doesn't matter. Of course, immediately your mind goes to, oh, yeah, bounty, for sure, that's the first thing. But then, say you're not doing bug bounty, right? You're doing actual pen test, and well, you've scanned the internal network through this. There is nothing interesting, or maybe nothing at all. Then it's not in the cloud, so there is no internal endpoints either to get some metadata or whatever. How would you report that? I mean, that's the question for Dmitry as well. Like, how would you report that as a professional security person?
Oh, that's a tricky question, though. I mean, it really depends on what side am I. I mean, just as a context, because I used to do bug bounty by myself, and right now I'm also responsible for triaging the bug bounty reports. And sometimes we have these cases. And as a bug bounty, from bug bounty perspective, for sure, I want, as I said, you bounty. Like, okay, I mean, I can force your server to make to do the request that it's not supposed to do, or I can somehow interact it, and maybe I don't have anything to chain it with. But I can be patient. I can keep a vulnerability and scan it from time to time and just wait for this another mistake that could happen at some point. At the same time, when you triage these reports and when you're representing business needs of your company or of a product, it's a completely different story. Like, okay, yeah, sure, you can force my server to make requests. What's the impact? Okay, confidentiality? Well, probably not, especially when it's blind SRF. Like, well, nah. Okay, you can know my internal hosts on open ports. Well, okay. Oh no. Okay, availability. Well, yeah, maybe you can try to do something, but like the risk of that would be probably very low, or the chance of this happening, and probably there are other monitoring tools that will spot it and it would be locked. So again, the chance of this happening is very low. Integrity, come on. I mean, nah, definitely not. So we actually recently we had a report about blind SRF, and it was closed. It never reached us, but it was closed as informational. Like, yes, nice, 0.0. Thanks for report. And I kind of agree with this approach. At the same time, we probably will pay some bonus because we don't want this behavior just to be in place, right? We still want to follow up with the best practices. But if we talk about real impact, none.
Guys, I'd like to interrupt you and start with basics, because our audience mostly newcomers and students.
Yep.
And I see a question like how important is learning Linux, for example, how to find appropriate CTF, so how to start, what you need. For example, Igor advertised a lot, try hack me, for example, try hack the box. Yeah. What's your advice maybe? And then so imagine our audience.
Yep. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, there was also a question beforehand that they're kind of connected. I feel that how do you stop being a script kiddie, right? And Vlad has his own take on that, and I think it's kind of interconnected in a sense that script kiddie is a term. Well, back in my day when I was younger,
okay,
this is how you would call people who would just find public exploits and just use them. That was the thing. Like you can use only others people's work and you cannot produce your own. Now, is that actually important? I mean, for the street cred on the shady hacker forum, probably. I mean, I'm not sure nowadays. Back in the day, maybe. Nowadays, it's not even that important. It doesn't matter which tooling you use. It doesn't matter if you use Linux. Like I'm currently on Windows, for example, and yeah, it literally do not matter, because if you're doing this professionally, the goal here is to make the company secure. Now, the question is, what can you give the company to make it more secure? It could be raw technical skill, like, oh, I know how to reverse engineer your thing and you left whatever sensitive information inside your code and I can get to it, or whatever else, something very technical. It could be as easy as being absolutely non-security person, as I was back in the day, and just knowing enough about software engineering that, oh, this is not how you're supposed to talk to the database, right? I know that currently there is no vulnerability. I have no idea how to exploit this, but I know that if you continue doing this, in the future, it's going to be a problem. So what is a script kiddie? Do you need Linux? How important is language A or language B, language C? My personal opinion on any of the questions like that, all of them are equally important, because you never know where you will end up. Because a couple of years ago, I was working in the completely different technological stack. There was different languages, different server setup, different networking. Everything was different. Today, it's again, right? It's different. And all the time it changes, and also changes with time. Like 10 years ago, nobody was in the cloud, or, well, it wasn't that popular, I would say, especially in the bigger enterprise. So if I tell you today, oh, learn Golang, is it gonna hold in 2, 3, 5, 10 years? Who knows? Maybe. I mean, people still code in COBOL, so this knowledge is still relevant somewhere. So I personally do not think it's about knowing specific things. It's more about your mindset and how you approach things. I mean, it might sound a little takey, but I feel like the hacker is not the skill in itself. It's more of a mindset. It's more like, how do you approach problems that you encounter? I've worked with multiple people, like more than 10, I think, that had not that they had zero security experience, but they weren't actual security professionals. And these people are way ahead of a lot of official, like, professional hackers that I work with from time to time. So yeah, it's in here, not in knowing a lot of commands or languages.
Okay, and how today we have AI everywhere. So how AI changed the way of what's your?
I mean,
I think maybe like you mentioned that before people just copy some scripts, but now you have AI. You can go and ask and have a working program, working script.
I think at least today it's very helpful. I mean, Vlad, do you have different opinion? I think it's very nice to have them nowadays.
Well, I really think AI is like it can be very handy and useful when you use it smart. I mean, when you completely rely on AI without actually understanding what's going on, for sure you can be lucky and it would work once, twice, 3 times maybe, but it won't make you grow as a technical person at all. So, for example, I mean, AI is, in my researches, I use AI a lot when I'm trying to summarize the documentation of a service I never know. Like, for example, okay, I have, I don't know, a few hours. I need to know how to interact with this or that service, and I can spend hours on reading the documentation, or I can ask AI to summarize, to show me the endpoints, how to interact with them, and so on. So it can speed up my work, but if I don't know what to do, again, AI can give me hints, but will I grow as a professional? Probably not. And yeah, maybe I'm one of these old guys who say, yeah, I mean, if something happens and AI won't work, I still want to be capable to perform pen tests with, I don't know, a Notepad and I don't know, and Bash command line instead of relying completely on some fancy tool. I'm not sure about you, Stan, though.
I mean, there's so many different uses now, right? So I can give you a couple examples.
Yeah.
So the first one, it was actually quite recent. I used it for CTF to solve the binary exploitation challenge for me. Like, I had a kind of general idea of what needs to be done, but I just didn't have mind capacity and time to do that. And I thought, okay, maybe LLM can help me doing this faster. Now, going for like the fast forward, it succeeded. Like, I actually got it to produce a working exploit. I solved the challenge, but there are like 2 things that I noticed. First of all, I didn't learn anything, even though it explained a lot of things. Well, most of the time it was wrong, so it was kind of failing into success, right? It was just spitting out nonsense statements. Like, I know for a fact that this is not true, whatever it says, but then miraculously, it produces the working exploit, or part of it starts working, or it figured out some detail of it that is correct. So if you know how to nudge it into correct direction, it can help you. But learning can be, I wouldn't say tricky, but it's kind of dangerous, because you cannot really if you cannot verify the answer, because it can be very convincing what it generates, and then if you're not sure and you just take it for a fact, you can get not even the wrong idea, you like literal nonsensical things that do not exist in the real world.
Yeah.
maybe it will get better, but currently I think the best that it does is produce more work for me, because developers use that. They generate insecure code, and I have my job security because of that.
True. And maybe you can mention some AI agents like in the security field, which is like people already use or maybe just developing.
I mean, I've recently been on the conference, and they've been demoing. I think it was the release where they released it like a day before or something like that. It's a company called Mediocrity, and they released Harbinger tool. Doesn't really matter what it does, but the thing is, it ingests a lot of information, and then you can apply whatever LLM that you want to it, so it can help you on your engagement. Now, would it help? I guess it depends on what you're doing, but to be completely honest, I'm yet to see a really helpful tool. Like, again, there are some instances where I feel like, oh, this saved me some time not reading this documentation. It summarized everything nicely, or it generated some exploit that I needed, so I don't have to write code that is one use, something like that. But for actual prolonged engagements, for some complex reasoning, at least in my experience, I haven't found a really working thing. I felt like I'm spending more time fighting it instead of doing actual work or getting good results. Not sure, maybe I'm using it wrong. It could be, very well could be the case, because I'm not young, and it might be.
You should send some training how to wipe code, though.
Yeah, but no, I mean, even vibe coding, right? It's also a skill probably, so it's hard to argue.
Yeah, but I also noticed, for example, like the quite popular LMO, like, I don't know, ChatGPT, the same. When you ask them to do some encoding, decoding, and so on, this thing just lying. I mean, it just doesn't return you the value that you need. It returns the value it would be nice to have. So that's why all good cyber chief tools still, from my perspective, way better than AI. So AI for me is sometimes giving me the direction or information, but it's not the tool for me. Maybe just a supporting tool.
I think it also kind of, I can reflect on my, again, formative years when I just started learning the basics. I feel like the scarcity of information, the difficulty to find everything, and which kind of led to the need to research everything myself. I know it sounds boomerish, but the fact that I can easily ask Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, the question, and let's be honest, most of the time for the simple questions, I get the correct answer. This, yes, it frees your mind. It frees out a lot of time, not only your mind, but like physical time. But then, did you actually learn something? That is the main question, right? You got the answer. The answer is correct. But what does it matter if I ask you, well, how does it work then? And you don't know. You just know the answer. Is it helpful?
To continue this topic, maybe to add, I that's why I actually do my personal preference. I do really like the approach offense security or during OSCP push to your mindset. So like try harder. So and especially back in times when I passed OSCP, it was mostly no hints in the forum. So the only hint that was everywhere was try harder, try harder. And this mindset actually helps you to learn through mistakes, through trying, through spending hours in Google, reading a lot of information, sometimes completely wrong information, sometimes irrelevant, but a lot of time relevant. That also extends your scope or your knowledge in general. So, yeah.
And also, the random, kind of randomish thing that came to mind, I've been thinking about the question, the original question, right? Do I need to know Linux, or like how good do I need to know the Linux or specific tool? I was just reflecting on what I usually ask people on the interviews, and you wouldn't believe how many people do not go past the first question. And the first question that I usually ask, and that's for any security person, and I also interviewed hundreds of software developers back in the day. And the first question that I ask is, I open up my browser. That is a classic, actually. I open up my browser. I type in google.com or whatever your favorite website. What happens then? How do I get the page back? How everything works? Like, I expect people to explain to me how DNS works. How does the local resolution of the DNS works? Maybe we can go deeper, right, into the TCP, UDP. What's the difference? Can you live without the one or the other? How does the application server works? Web server works? How do the virtual domains work? There is so many things that are technically not security related. But for me, if the person cannot answer in any meaningful way, I'm not asking any of the security questions, because they do not matter. Unless you know what you're facing, you cannot really hack it. And I don't care if you can effectively copy paste whatever from hack tricks. It's not skill. It's something else.
But it does mean it can bring value, right? I mean, IDORs, you don't need to know how DNS works. If you can change the number in URL, and it would work.
Right? Of course, I'm not saying that if you don't know the answer to this question, you're a bad security engineer. You can very well be. Well, first of all, there is way more to security than offensive security, right? You can do compliance amazingly without any of this knowledge. Of course, I'm talking more about like incident. Well, maybe not even incident response, mainly offensive security. But yes, you can be even effective. I would say you can be effective without this theory in your head. But then, is this the end game for you? Because if you want to end up, at least with me, on the complex engagement in the red team or purple teaming exercise, I want to be able to communicate with you as a grown-up, not as a kid that can just copy-paste stuff from hack tricks. Because again, that doesn't require skill, so even a kid can do that. So why would I need your help? Like, again, LLM can probably substitute you completely in that case.
True.
And I mainly need understanding, and I think it goes the same, at least in my experience, being interviewed and doing the interviews. This is what people are actually looking for. I do not really care if you can get RC out of this SQL injection or whatever. If you really understand the technology that you use, that we all use every day, you're a better hacker than whoever learned the newest tool, the newest technique, and then read the newest write-up every time.
Nice.
Yeah, and now we have like even more level of like problems. So people have to. I mean, before it was understanding what you are talking about, but I see a new level when people cannot read errors and output of the tool or instructions for the tools. I mean, come on, guys. Okay. Cool. So, any resources you would recommend to people actually to start digging into this? Just a wild question out of the blue.
Want to start, Stan?
I mean, I was just going to say that it highly depends on where you are right now. So if you're just starting out your career, or even better, if you don't have a career at all, honestly, I think it goes back to Vladimir's question about, like, do you need to start with offensive security or whatever? I personally think you shouldn't start with security at all, any kind of security. This is a long road. I mean, I did it that way randomly, but I think this is actually one of the good ways, right? You start with how things are built, and then you can demolish them. Of course, you probably are not interested in all of that. That could very well be the case, and you might not even be interested in offensive security. But starting with hacking is probably not the best thing you can do, unless, I'm not even sure unless what, because hacking is a different beast. I mean, what is the usual road to professional security, Vlad? Like, I got there stumbling around, right?
I would really disagree with you, because if you're really patient and interested in what we're doing, and hacking, first of all, it sounds cool, right? I'm hacker, wow. So and maybe it could be even that could be enough to motivate you to wake up in the morning, early in the morning, study stuff, try stuff, fail, keep going, try again. And if you're passionate about that, if you're interested in that, I would say, please go. Don't listen to Stan. Yeah, maybe it won't be perfect. It definitely will take some time. You need, you'll probably fail a lot, but if you have this passion, then everything will come. Yeah, maybe not that easily. Maybe you want to send some things, but don't be afraid to look stupid and dumb. There is not such a thing, from my perspective, as a bad question. There is a very bad thing when you don't ask a question because you're shy, and it doesn't bring any value to you. And yeah, you might look nice within the moment and smart within the moment, but at the end of the day, I mean, you won't grow, right? And I think offensive security, because again, it can bring you quite confidence first time you find any bug, actually, any vulnerability, especially confirmed vulnerability. It could be not completely technical or so on, but this boost after many failures, I think it will keep you up to speed for quite some time, and you will get all this information, all this missing knowledge, because you will feel the need of knowing how HTTP works and so on. So I would disagree. It's mostly about patience.
And what do you think about like positions like SOC engineer, like the incident response stuff, the defenders, the responders?
Well, I actually have quite some experience with SOC engineers. Most of the time, they're non-blue teamers. At the same time, they're not red teamers. And maybe I was not lucky with SOC engineers I know. Yeah, but I think essentially it might be not a bad idea to start as a SOC engineer, though, because you, in theory, maybe you won't spot anything malicious, but you would be able to observe how real guys doing stuff, investigate or so on. Maybe the same thing with AV researchers or reverse engineers. They just see how another people, very skilled people, approach things. So it might be also handy, like just watching other people working.
It's so sad that we are on the recording. I would, watching how the people.
Yeah. I was about to say, but like, okay,
it smells.
True.
Okay, actually, there is a question, two questions in the chat. So, one is like, okay, it's not a question; it's more the statement. So that people do not see a lot of positions for junior engineers, and it's in general across IT with like AI boom and all the stuff. So what about like in your company? So among your friends, how many junior security positions do you see around, or do you have in the companies you work or you see around? I mean, if not, then not. I mean, it's just
that's just a very kind of. I always have a hot take on everything. I don't know why, but I personally think that cybersecurity is not entry-level job. Period. Like I mean, of course, you can get into security. That's not a problem, right? You can get into doing SOC level, intro level, the support people for SOC engineers. There are a lot of entry positions kind of adjacent to security or near them, and you get enough kind of experience talking to these people, so you kind of rub off some knowledge. But I think this is not the best mindset to go like, oh, I have to be something security, right? Any security position straight away. Because imagine this, like, just imagine for a second this from the other way around. Like, you're hiring people. This is your company. These people are protecting your secrets, your sensitive information, your client's secrets, or whatever, passwords, whatever you feel sensitive. And then, well, let's hire a couple of school kids, and then maybe hire a couple of seniors that's going to lead them, and then also let's hire maybe a team lead to organize all of these learning paths and everything. And then you end up with a whole department of security people. Like technically you have a lot of them. None of them are doing actual security job because they have a lot of juniors to kind of fiddle around with. And on top of the fact that even if you had full-on security team, this is only the costs. Security does not produce anything. So you're kind of doing the double extortion here. Like you're asking for a lot of money, and then you also don't want to spend it on the actual security. Again, I'm not saying that it's good. I think there are ways of teaching people security from the ground up, but it just doesn't happen. And I don't want to blame companies for that, because I see it from the other side. I understand why that is happening. I'm not saying that it's good, but that's just the fact.
Again, I mean, I would be maybe a bit more positive comparing to Stan, because from my perspective, I started from the beginning, right? So cybersecurity, at least pen testing as a role, most of the time it's not that advanced. You don't need to do rocket science every now and then. For sure, there are cases and so on, and for sure there are many tools that perform automatic scans and so on. But from my perspective, most time I would never replace human, because human has a especially people playing CTF, they have a lot of thing that maybe at some point, Vlad, for sure.
Ooh, okay.
But at least for now. And if we're talking about junior positions, junior penetration testers and so on, I see on the market sometimes they pop up. And the reason of that, I see value in that, because senior or people who are in cybersecurity for a long time, they are not very amazed by pen testing APIs, GraphQLs, a lot of things that needs to be tested to make sure that it's secure. But I would say, I mean, senior who is doing that 24/7, I mean, okay, 8 per 5 every week for 2 years probably will leave because he's not amazed. At the same time, for junior, it would be awesome opportunity to grow on real examples, on real cases, and from there you can build your mindset. What is security for you? What is business value, and so on. You can build it again by not doing the crazy stuff. So in the Netherlands, I see sometimes actually there are junior positions, and quite many of them though. Yeah, so they exist.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, sorry, just one more or something important here. Go ahead.
No, just a short comment. So we are getting to the hour. There is one more question in the chat that refers to your experience. I think it would be cool to cover it. Then we'll summarize, wrap it up, and I think we would have a following up sessions where we can go in depth of some of the specialties if you're open. It's super cool. Anyway, Stan, you were about to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I assume that people, especially people who are listening, they actually want to do security, not just, the people that you commonly find on Reddit where they don't even know what they want to do, but they call it security. So what I would kind of suggest, if you're having trouble finding technically security position, I would recommend finding some department in the company that is very close to security. Because the main thing and the best thing that you can do is prove to these people that you're actually interested. Because these are not the people who didn't give you a job. HR didn't give you a job, most likely. And a lot of the times, like I've seen this dozens of times, where absolutely like random people basically from all around the company, they come over to you and they express interest in a very basic way, like, oh, dude, I heard you're playing CTFs. Like, can I join you somehow? Or maybe can you do a workshop? Like, I'm just starting out. Can you do a workshop for me? Like, show me how to do web challenges or whatever it is, whatever interests you. It is, it's like talking to your shy friend. Like, they're always very happy when you talk to them. This is always the case for security people. Just go talk to them. And the main thing that you need to do is to somehow physically get into the same building and then find the corner where they are. And that is probably the best.
Or join this.
Oh yeah.
Join a CTF and just start talking with people, because most of people working in cybersecurity.
Or join this awesome stream and ask questions in the comment.
Yep.
So
yeah.
A short question. So how much time do you spend understanding the business domain before finding technical vulnerability?
Ooh.
I mean, it's a long question, actually. So if we can somehow squeeze it and maybe start the next round with this topic, would be cool. So, but like, if you can answer in short, I have my take.
I can do it in 2 sentences. First, understand what the company does. It's 1 sentence. And second, try to understand what the application does. If you got these 2 things together, you will see the potential issues.
But how much time do you take?
How much time?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on your personal.
Oh, come on! It must be a number.
I mean, if it's web shop, probably it's not a healthcare system, right? So I mean, it really depends on your how easy you're getting things. But yeah, I don't think that much time, to be honest.
Okay, I'll ask another way. So how often in your findings or in your bug bounty reports do you report business logic vulnerabilities like broken authorization or like improper permissions, comparing to technical vulnerabilities like SQL, cross-site scripting, all the fun stuff? So what is the percentage?
I can give you a good example, even with numbers, to be honest. So I've been working at my current company for, what is it, like 1.5 years now? And I'm yet to finish my kind of learning path, because the platform is humongous. It's huge. And I'm yet to even see all of the parts of the platform. And I started reporting stuff like the first weeks in, right? Were these things impactful? No, not really. They were very interesting technically, because I approached it like a CTF. I was like, yeah, well, I don't have much access because I'm still on my probation period. And then, yeah, I don't have, but I did some stuff, like I found some like injections, like LDAP injections somewhere, whatever else. But then I think about a year later, when I kind of, maybe slightly less, but when I finally started to understand what the company is actually doing as a business, I started reporting the problems that are very technical less and less, precisely for a reason that they're not impactful for the business. And I started reporting more and more things that do not sound like hacking at all. Like Vlad mentioned before, like, oh, I can access receipts of other merchants, right? It's not a real thing that I found, but just as an example of a thing that doesn't sound very like technical or even interesting. But then when you tell this to the product people, for business, to the business people, they're like, you can do what, huh? And this is immediately a high severity incident if something like that happens. So it's a very interesting curve where you kind of, exactly when you start reporting more of a business critical things, they're less technical, less CTF, less interesting. But yeah, you have to learn the platform or the product or the technology first. It's impossible otherwise. And yeah, that is another probably a huge topic. Do you work for a consultancy or do you work for a product company from inside? Very different approaches to security there.
It's actually a great insight. So, I mean, so you basically can start reporting stuff right away. Don't need to understand business, but as more and more you understand it, the value of the findings you get will go up. So
absolutely.
Awesome. So to summarize, first of all, Vladimir and Stan, thank you so much for joining the session and sharing your experience. We have discussed how to roll into the security. Basically, don't do security, do security. A good answer. We have discussed why CTF are not security. But actually, it is a security, but real security is different. So do with this information whatever you want. But if you're not doing CTF, you better do. It's a good thing to do. And Vladimir, Stan, keep me honest. Yeah. So for the next session, let's plan something cool, and it will be published through the normal challenge. And Vladimir, Stan, I hope to see you again. And very
Same
welcome.
here.
Same here. Anytime, guys.
Thank you,
Okay.
and hope to see all of you again. Yeah.
See you guys.
See you. It was cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
See you around.
Bye-bye.